In this video, we will discuss what sort of a goal a financial manager should chase. The most obvious, the most common sense answer to this question is, why not profit? After all, when we think about a business, the first thing that comes to our mind is profitability. But the matter is a little bit more complicated. If it was really that easy, we would not be making a YouTube video about it. The issue with profit is, what sort of profit are you talking about? Let's define. Usually when we mean profit, we are referring to accounting profit. So basically you start off with your sales or revenue, and then you keep subtracting all different kinds of costs and expenses. Take away interests, taxation, eventually you get to your net income. And then if you're a listed company, you divide that number by the number of shares outstanding, and you get to an EPS. The EPS is basically the bottom line here. In the economic approach of computing profit, not only explicit costs like the accountants do, but also implicit costs are required to be accounted for. So, in the accounting profit, we only have explicit costs, but in the economic profit, we have explicit and implicit costs. So what might be the implicit cost? It is essentially the opportunity cost. But calculating opportunity costs is controversial and can make matters a lot more complicated than they need to be. Besides, compliance with regulation almost never requires accounting for economic profit. The implicit cost is usually not what the public want. So while we might argue that the economic profit is more intuitively appealing or theoretically sound, it is just not what is practiced in real life, and computing it is quite complex. So what else can we chase as a financial manager? Well, market share, or growth, or reputation. The problem with all of these is that it can lead to myopic or short-sighted decisions. In other words, they can induce the company's managers to take on risky and irresponsible decisions which may lead to good short-term profit and good performance immediately, but endanger the overall sustainability and the viability of the firm, and thus making the shareholders vulnerable over the long term. This is why these are not usually used as a marker for the performance. There is one alternative, however. If the company is listed, maximizing the share price may be a smart idea. Why? This is because as a manager of the company, as a financial manager, or a CEO or a CFO, your task is to do whatever is best for the owners, and the shareholders are literally the owners of the company. But there's a problem. A decent-sized company, or an MNC, usually has hundreds if not thousands of shareholders. Some of them are short-term oriented, some of them are long-term oriented, some of them are risk takers or gamblers, some are very conservative and risk averse, some of them might want to enjoy ownership of the company by receiving a steady stream of cash flows in the form of dividends. By contrast, some do not care for dividends and instead only want to enjoy capital appreciation, achieve capital gains. Some of them are in this for taxation purposes. How do you satisfy all of them? Pause for a second and think this through. What is the common thread among all these different kinds of investors? They share one commonality. They all own a slice of the company in the form of a share. So what if we're able to maximize the share price? Do you think anyone would complain? It would be foolish for any of them to complain about their share price going up, because they are owners of those shares, so if the share price goes up, the value of their holding naturally goes up with it. So it turns out this common ground is where no one would argue or complain. So in this way, if a financial manager is able to strategically take decisions, undertake projects, cut costs, and steer the general direction of the firm in such a way that the share price of the company will healthily keep on climbing, he or she will be doing their job by ensuring that the wealth of the shareholders are being taken care of. And that's why, in modern financial literature, it is thought that shareholder wealth maximization is the best possible goal.